Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Declan, and if you enjoy talking about movies in any way, shape or form, you're going to feel right at home here. In today's video, we're going to be doing my own personal ranking of all 4 of the Purge movies as we rank them from worst to first. So, the Purge franchise is one that I am particularly fond of. I really like these films, and I just have a great time with them, and I get really excited anytime a new one's coming out. So I thought it was about time that I sat down and ranked all 4 of these films, and of course we do have a new one coming out this year as well, which is, well, we just know it's called like the Purge 5. I don't think they've actually given it a title yet. It may not even come out this year, but we do have a new Purge film coming out this year, so I will update this ranking come the release of that film, but I still thought it'd be fun to sit down and rank all 4 of these films, and I haven't really discussed these movies yet, so I thought it'd be nice to kind of just go through and chat with you guys about my personal ranking of the Purge films. Make sure you leave your ranking as well in the comments down below so we can discuss each other's rankings. And with all of that out of the way and all that said, let's jump into the ranking. Kicking us off at number 4, we have The Purge. Now this film for me is by far the least rewatchable and my least favourite in the series, just because this isn't what I wanted from a Purge film. When I heard about the Purge series and I first delved in to watch these films, I thought to myself, okay, well, these are going to be really awesome because it's just 12 hours, all crime is legal, and the streets are going to be the most dangerous place you can be. What I didn't really want from this film was a isolated home invasion film, and unfortunately that's what this is. And while as a home invasion movie it's perfectly enjoyable, and again I can still enjoy the hell out of this movie, the cast is great, it's just not really what I want from a Purge film. And I think if you just renamed this something else, it wouldn't really be a part of the franchise and it wouldn't affect it in a big way. I feel like this movie is kind of standalone, it's kind of there just to kind of settle us into the franchise, give us an idea of what's going on in the world without really exploring it as much as we'd like to. Again, I really like the cast, and I think this movie plays on the horror elements a bit more than the other films do, but at the same time, I think this film really was missing the mark in regards to what it should have gone for, and I feel like while it did succeed in being a home invasion movie, it didn't really succeed at being a Purge movie. Coming in at number 3, we have The Purge Election Year. Now this film I think is typically at the bottom of most people's lists, but for me, I actually think there's quite a big step up between this film, between The Purge and The Purge Election Year. And that's just because, again, I much prefer the direction of Election Year in comparison to the first Purge film. Election Year takes place on the streets, it's there, and again you feel that danger, you feel the intensity of being in the streets when anything could happen. Around every corner there's a danger. Around every street corner there's a guy trying to kill you. And I much more enjoy that. And also what I really liked about Election Year was just how wacky it went. This is by far the most off-the-wall Purge movie. It's bonkers. It's balls to the wall. All the costumes and the masks are just crazy in this one. Like, that's one of the most iconic things about the Purge franchise is all the masks and the costumes. This one by far has the most out there, wacky costumes. I mean, you can see up here I have some Purge merchandise, including some Funko Pops, and we have Lady Liberty here, one of my favourite costumes from the Purge series. That one was a great one. There's also the Teddy Bear Killer. There's just so many great ones. The George Washington one. There's just so many iconic ones. And of course, this film did come out in 2016, which meant that the Election Year title was kind of there to annoy some people, and this film does poke fun at that. While I don't think this film necessarily needed that, it was kind of funny just because, again, The Purge is kind of like a reflection on realism, or at least it thinks it is, so it was kind of interesting to see them take on that kind of position. And while this film does kind of have a sucky ending because, of course, they abolished The Purge by the end, we still got Purge movies after it, so I don't really care. But I enjoy this film a lot, I still think it's a lot of fun, and I think it actually kind of gets a bad rap among the franchise. Coming in at number 2, we have The Purge Anarchy. Now this is the step up from the first film I was hoping for. This is what I wanted. Again, when I went down to watch these films for the first time, because I didn't watch them when they came out, but when I watched them when I bought them on Blu-ray, I watched the first one, enjoyed it, but again, I felt like it missed the mark. I went in to watch Anarchy, and I enjoyed it much, much more, because this is exactly what I wanted from a Purge film. A much more dangerous, much more terrifying, much more scary film set on the streets. We have Frank Grillo, who's a great lead for this one, just taking us through the streets as we just turn every corner, and again, there's a threat everywhere. No matter where you look, there's something happening, and that is super exciting. Also, I think this film plays on the horror some more, which I really enjoyed as well. Even though I think the first film does the horror elements a little bit better, this one I still think played on it because of the dangerous aspect of it. There are people out there who you don't know. There are people out there who you don't trust. And when they're wearing masks, you don't know who they are. they can do anything because the law does not exist. And I think that's much more entertaining than just being stuck in a house. Because again, when you're stuck in a house, at least you know the dimensions of the room, but that's the only place you can really go. With this, it can go anywhere, and I much prefer that. And I think that this film really embraced the idea of the Purge. It knew what it wanted to be. It listened to the complaints from the first one and really said, okay, let's make this for the fans. Let's make it what they want. And it was much more successful because of it. My number one, though, has to go to The First Purge, not to be confused with the First Purge film. This one is the one titled The First Purge, which was the prequel film, and this one focuses on the very first purge that the government ever initiated, and I just absolutely fell for this one. This one was so much fun. Like, I really like the idea that this one just goes back to basics and says, right, this one feels a lot more closer in tone to Anarchy, which I think is why I liked it. This one just really has the idea of, okay, we're going to have one location, it's all set on Staten Island, which that may sound contradictory to my complaints about the First Purge film, where I said it was all set in one location, I didn't really like that. This was still set on the streets, it was just all set on one island, and Staten Island isn't huge, so it felt claustrophobic while still being out on the streets, which I think was the perfect combination. Also, I really enjoyed the government side of this, seeing the government behind the scenes, just watching and witnessing this all go down, because we haven't really seen that before in the franchise. We haven't really seen the government being this overseer, really. We knew they were the ones behind it, but we didn't really see them reacting to it, and this we get to see that. We have Marissa Tomei's character who really just kind of goes for it with the Purge, and she's like, okay, let's do this, let's experiment on Staten Island, and we just see the government, like we keep flashing back to them, and we see them just overseeing and watching everything unfold. And the leads in this movie were great. The lead guy in this movie is awesome. Also, the kind of like recurring villain in the movie is also scary and terrifying. And my favorite thing about this movie is how I love when the Purge first starts and people just don't really know what to do. Like, people are just kind of like out there. There are some people who are hiding. There are some people who are, you know, retreating. They don't want to get involved. But then there are others who are taking part in the experiment, because that's how this is sort of set up, is that it's an experiment by the government. And they're kind of out there on the streets and they don't really know what to do. They're kind of like, should we commit a crime? Are we actually going to get away with it? What's going on? And I really enjoy that because, again, it's kind of realistic. Like, if this actually went down, people wouldn't really know what to do. People really wouldn't know how to handle themselves in this situation. So you have some people who are just kind of like, you know, doing graffiti on the walls, and there are some people who are doing a bit of, you know, breaking and entering and things like that. Nothing super serious. There's even a couple who are just having sex in the middle of the street because they can. It's just really light stuff. No one's really doing anything that bad yet. And then what I love is, as the movie goes on and the night gets darker and it gets deeper, worse and worse things start happening, and you just see just carnage unfold by the end. And you could just, again, going back to the government thing, seeing them kind of just look at it all, and even you could see Marissa Tomei's like, okay, I regret this. This was bad. This was a bad idea. But by this point, it was already too successful by the government's eyes, and that's, of course, where this all kicked off. But for me, I just love The First Purge. I thought this one was such a great idea, and even how the movie ends, where you have almost this Dread-like aspect, where you have to just get from the bottom of this building to the top to save these people. It was a great action beat. I think this one has the best action in the series. And again, it also has some really good horror elements in it too. I think this one just has all the best elements of The Purge. And again, it also has the most interesting elements because you have the government side of it. You have the fact that this is the first Purge. So you have the really interesting like society commentary in there. I just really enjoyed this one. I thought it was so much fun. And again, I came out of it and I couldn't wait to see it again. And that's why it has to be my number one. This is by far the one I go back to the most. I love this one. So there you have it, guys. There's my personal ranking of all 4 of the Purge films. Make sure you leave your own ranking in the comments down below. Let's chat, let's disagree, let's agree, whatever. Let's have a great chat in the comments down below about our rankings of the Purge movies. Again, this is just a bit of fun, and I will update this ranking when the Purge 5 does eventually release, whether it is this year or it gets pushed back to next year, or probably next year. But either way, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. And again, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie-related content just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.